Welcome to the College Rivals podcast, where it's all about heated rivalries within track and field and weekly innovative discussions on how we revolutionize the sport of track and field into a professional league on par with the NBA and the NFL. And now, your host whose favorite thing in life is to disrupt society for the good, Simon Bowen. Welcome to College Rivals, where rivalries begin and never ends.
All right, so hello team of rivals, sporting fans, track and field boys and girls. This is Simon Bowen, alongside my co-hosts Tasha Woodward-Sumner and Michael Jasper. Welcome to another episode of the College Rivals podcast, where I'm honored to interview distinguished guests, track and field athletes, experts in media, the business of sports, branding and marketing, coaching, sports management, sports psychology, sports medicine, mental health, and other interesting people, talking about rivalries and how we revolutionize the sport of track and field into a professional league on par with F1 motorsport, the NBA and NFL. Our vision for College Rivals is simply to be an authentic voice that's credible, transformative, and revolutionary for each member of the track and field community. In doing so, our sole aim is to unleash the greatest college track and field rivalries, both past and present, to redefine the relevance of the sport and to command the attention and prominence it truly deserves. Also, to make the sport become the fans' ultimate choice of human athletic excellence. And last but not least, is to look at the business of the sport and how it can impact the sport itself into a professional league on par with other successful professional sports. To achieve this, we have made a deliberate and strategic decision to focus our decisions around athletes, rivalries, and or matchups. And we believe it is the cornerstone of how the business side of the sport will parachute into a fully professional league and will impact immensely the future of track and field. This is why we've asked the 1988 world record, American record, collegiate record at the time, Villanova women's distance medley team to join us today. Imagine how great this was at the time when all these ladies were in college and actually have produced such quality performance. And it's an interesting time because, you know, when I look at the performance of these ladies and what they have done, you kind of have to think about what was life like afterwards. Potentially, they're thinking about transitioning into pro. Well, with no further delay, we'll get more into the details. Today, it's with great honor we have our own College Rivals co-host and former Villanova star athlete, Tasha Woodward-Sumner, to introduce her prestigious alumni world record DMR team. Over to you, Tasha.
Thank you. I can't say how proud I am to have my former Villanova alum. I never got to run with any of these ladies, but looked up to them so much. Well, Michelle, wait, did we overlap sort of?
Yeah, we ran 1 year.
Like 1 year. Okay.
I think it was that year.
I think that was that was my red shirt year though, I think.
Right.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah. So but I always admired you guys, you ladies. And just that's one of the reasons why I ended up at Villanova, just to follow in you guys' footsteps and hopefully make a mark as well. So I want to introduce Vicky first. Vicky, tell us a little bit about what you're doing now. I'll ask each of you guys what you're doing now, and then we'll segue in a little bit to the actual relay itself. But tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
So I'm like the queen of lots of little jobs. And when my kids got old enough that I wasn't a full-time mom, I started, I went to massage school. So I'm a massage therapist, and I mostly work on runners, a lot of high school kids. I have a reduced rate for high school athletes, and half the time I'm working on their bodies, but a lot of times I work on their heads as well. Just sort of like the questions they have about colleges and training and injuries, and because I pretty much experienced all of it myself. So I am a massage therapist. I also coach high school track. in the area, and I work part-time at a running store. I've been doing that for 8 years. So I have a daughter in Colorado, and our son is a senior at Monmouth University.
Perfect.
Nice.
I love that. I love how you stayed in the running community. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Love it. Still running like 25 to 30 miles a week.
Nice.
My
That's
God.
awesome. Okay, Michelle, you are next.
Okay,
You're
so
you.
hello everybody. I live in South Florida. I am a teacher, an English teacher. I've been a teacher over 20 years now. I teach presently I'm at the middle school level. I um help coach cross country, which is ironic because I never ran cross country at Villanova.
Yay,
Hated
right.
cross country with a passion. But you know, for the children, I want to try to instill the same love for running that I developed at the actually younger than high school. I mean, I just got serious about it in high school. So that's why I'm out there and, I'm encouraging any child that comes out, because my daughter was like, Mom, do you cut anybody? I'm like, no. I'm like, if they come out and they want to run, I'm going to coach them. I mean,
Yeah.
if they've improved from, walking around the course or the field the first day to at least now running without stopping, to me, that's an improvement. So that's what I
Absolutely. Yep. That's great. We need coaches like you out there for sure. Okay, Kathy, give us the scoop.
So I shortly after I ended the professional career, I got into coaching. I was coaching at Boston College for about 9 years. And then kind of went like Vicky, kids, kind of hard to do that with the traveling, and especially Division I with recruiting. So I got into coaching, developing these rec classes. So I coach, I'm kind of like Vicky, all over the place, master at a lot of little jobs. I coach um, at the high school, 3 seasons, cross country, indoor and outdoor track. And I have these recreational programs that I've developed and coached. I just got back from one. Then I coach a women's running club, and I coach, one-on-one on the side. And I just got my master's from rival Georgetown University in sports administration, and I started.
Congrats. Yeah.
It's awesome. Never too old. You're never too old. And then I just recently started a nonprofit to help kids with any of their running pursuits in college, and just helping them with that whole thing, especially with kids that can't afford the very expensive college counseling fees that are out there. So
Yeah,
that's basically it. 3 kids, 2 college, one at Villanova, one at Boston College. My husband went to Boston College, so we got a split down the middle. And then my youngest, the junior, and he does basketball and track and cross country.
Oh, that's great.
Congrats.
All right,
But
cool.
I understand what you're talking about because I coach some JV runners, and it's all about just being faster for the next time. It's not about
Absolutely.
correct. Yeah,
For sure.
malls.
You realize how few people make it to the highest level, and we,
Yeah.
yeah. But everybody needs the encouragement to,
that's right.
to improve.
I discovered with the nonprofit is that 95% of student athletes are not recruited.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's just a very, very small percentage. So
Yeah.
have to create their own opportunity.
It's the
right.
it's part of the nature of the sport. There's a lot of other things going on with the sport that perhaps from the outside you might think that it's perfect, but there's a hell of a lot of stuff that we're not necessarily doing right.
Yes.
So yeah, I agree with you. Before we get further into our interview, at the moment there's 4 Villanova alumni joining us, and I have a little piece of history at Villanova. First of all, I must say it is a very, very beautiful campus. Absolutely beautiful campus. I studied there for 2 years. I did my master's degree in water resource and environmental engineering. And in a way, Villanova, I don't know if Michelle know this, but when I was in Jamaica, before I got recruited, there were a lot of coaches from the United States that would come to Jamaica. Villanova was one of them. And at the time, Jenkins, I don't know if you
Was
guys
Jenkins.
know.
Oh yeah.
So he was there. And one of the things that I will always remember in Jamaica, when coaches come there and they give out these track and field magazines, which I didn't know at the time. It's kind of what would be going on. Those annual yearly magazine when it features the athletes, the coaches.
Oh, Mania guy.
Yes,
Mhm.
when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, this looks so great. I want to be there. It was like George Mason, Villanova. And I think it was one of those schools I usually tell Mike, not Georgetown.
That's
So in a way,
Sorry.
in a way, I'm going to take credit. So at the moment, 4.5 alumni, even though I'm originally, I love Villanova basketball. My friend usually say this, that Simon is divided into two. So track for George Mason and basketball for Villanova Wildcats.
Let's go.
It's hard not to love Jay Wright. I mean, come on.
Right.
He's amazing.
Yeah. Well,
All right, Tasha.
so, ladies, tell us, like one of the main reasons we have this podcast is to talk about the rivalries and college rivalries and what makes a good rivalry. So, starting with you guys, tell us a little bit about the rivalries when you got to campus. Like for me, our rivalry was Wisconsin, Arkansas on the national scene, especially Georgetown and Providence, Big East, and then that obviously carried over to national as well. But for you guys, when you guys stepped on campus, who were the rivalries and did it evolve?
Kathy, freshman year, wasn't it? Was it Penn State that Marty was worried about in cross country?
Oh gosh, freshman year. I don't remember freshman year because I don't even know where we got in freshman in cross country.
We made it to nationals.
I remember Penn State was good in the 80s, though.
Yeah, that was 85. Maybe Penn State because they were like the Pennsylvania team. But with Marty, he was Mr. It's all about the show and it was all about the competition. So there was always a rival, whether it was a national or a regional. It was always a rival to get his athletes pumped up. I don't remember freshman year. I just don't feel like we, like it was just so long ago and we weren't that good. Maybe we were top like 20 or something in the country, but it wasn't like we were senior year. So we kind of didn't really think about it.
Right. I remember nationals were in Des Moines and we were like, it's snowing. Are we going to run? Are they going to cancel meet?
Right. Great. Oh, I remember that. I didn't even run because I had torn my cast that day or the week before. But I think for generally speaking, like when I went to a recruiting trip at Villanova, it was right after, I think it was right before the Penn relays, and I was sitting in the stand watching Debbie Grant, Veronica McIntosh, and they were getting ready to break another world record in the distance medley. And I think, it was about Tennessee and Texas and Florida. And I feel like that was our competition at, like, say, like a Penn relays. But when it got to nationals, we all had our individual events. There was, like Susie Favor Hamilton at Wisconsin, and Wisconsin was always good. And, so I think it was kind of like a broad, if you go like Big East, we kind of dominated Big East in the early years, but I think Providence and Georgetown started getting really good later on. So that was always, there was always a few athletes to get rivaled up. But, we always, with going into a big meet, you get a little nervous, but then you look around at Villanova on campus and you run your best. So you're always mentally ready. Like the moment you get nervous, you just have to remind yourself, wait a minute, I'm training with Vicky Huber. and Michelle Bennett
That's
and
right.
the rest, and all these great Sonia O'Sullivan. Like, it just, why would you be nervous for anyone else?
Right.
Right.
So
Yeah, but if you got through Tuesday's workout, Saturday was easy because you just, you worked out with the best. I will throw in, I think Kathleen and even Michelle, when we first got to campus, it wasn't, we didn't know who the people were because like you would run a race on Saturday. You didn't even know results until Wednesday when the Harrier came out. Like the social media, the instant
Yeah.
Right.
result, like you did not know how people did it's not, you got up to the line, you didn't even know who the person next to you was.
Yeah.
Right.
So
That's
the whole thing of getting instantaneous results and knowing what was going on around the country, we didn't have that. So I actually feel lucky in that sense because you weren't afraid of your competition because you didn't know who the hell they were. You just were like, well, that girl's pretty and she looks fit. I wonder if I have to worry about her. I didn't know that it was definitely her, what I mean?
Okay, excuse me. I'm sorry, but I had to run into my bathroom because we just had like
I know it's
come
tornado
out.
warning.
Tornado,
Yes.
tornado watch,
So
tornado.
for our listeners
Oh,
that viewer, Michelle is in South Florida and the hurricane.
Yes.
So-
So tornado watch alert as
yeah,
we,
Yes.
talk, staying safe.
as we
Yeah.
talk track and field rivalries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
I was-
Michelle, let me ask this because I tend to think on the sprinter side of things, the rivalries could be a little different than on the distance side. So, like for you, did you have some specific rivalries?
No, it's funny that you say that because even though I was a sprinter classified, I was a middle distance runner that could sprint, that could come down and sprint because I wasn't a true sprinter.
Yeah.
In the classical sense of the word. There were
You were
rivalries, but I didn't have rivalries because it really wasn't my event. I had fun with it. Other people did try to make rivalries. I know, like Pitt, they did.
Right.
Georgetown, they wanted, of course. BU, yeah. Like especially when we got down to those like off events, like the 500.
Yeah.
There wanted to be rivalries wanted to be created, and with against Villanova. And it wasn't me, it was Villanova. It's what Villanova represented. It was our brand. That's more than anything else. That's what I discovered. And yes, definitely. I mean, I felt, okay, no, we don't let Georgetown beat us. I'm sorry, George. Mike.
He's in the house. He's in the house.
But I can honestly tell you at nationals one year when we were beat by Georgetown, I near cried. Like I didn't care about any other team beating us, but Georgetown, I'm like, we never let Georgetown beat us. What is that? Like if we are even crawling on the track, we should not let Georgetown beat us.
Right.
But it was a friendly rivalry because we were all like, it's funny. It wasn't like that real, like that animosity that you're seeing and, people aren't speaking to each other. It was just good, healthy competition.
Right.
And okay, you're besting me today. I'm coming back to try to best you tomorrow, that type of thing. So the rivalry that I'm seeing now and I'm witnessing and amongst, to me, those aren't healthy rivalries. That's just drama that's being created for no reason.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. And I don't think it benefits anybody. Well, we had, yes, I think it was beneficial.
Follow-up question. So when I'm trying to think back my experience when I got to Georgetown, and very similar to Tasha, seeing the Georgetown men break the DMR record is one of the reasons why I went to Georgetown. So it sounds like though the rivalry that you talk about was based off of beat the good teams,
Yeah.
be at that level versus I'm trying to think, let's say in football, for example, there's a geographic rivalry. I mean, you rank number one in the country, the other team is terrible, but it's still, no matter what, you're going to beat them. Like, so it doesn't sound like, I don't think we ever had that at Georgetown. It sounds like Villanova, your rivalry is based a lot of just competition.
Oh yeah.
Fair to say?
Yeah.
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 Oh yeah. We just want to be whomever would,
Exactly.
We
whomever,
want to be the best.
we wanted to be the best. Exactly.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
for me,
Really, Kathy?
so
Like,
it's
what's that?
like
for me
that is
for me, one of the things that I've learned real quickly when I went to George Mason, I was on a star-studded 4x8 team, and it did have history. Um, I looked at my responsibility, and then there were two main things: the pen relays. So you have the pen relays, and then you have meets like when you like indoors, we would have the Mobile One Invitational. It is actually a very big meet, and you sometimes have schools like Florida and Georgetown get invited to come to that meet. Those guys were our rivals. The pen relay speak for itself because usually the top 10 country in the nation, usually they follow the quality distance runners, and more likely they put together a 4x8 team. And basically, we go to Florida to train. This is how serious it is. In the winter, we go to Florida to train, and literally, we have an idea who we're going to face at the pen relays. So you're talking about Tennessee, Florida, Eastern Michigan, Georgetown. The list goes on and on. The Villanova, usually the same name comes up because of tradition and history. So it's not just only geographic. There's also tradition and history. You
Yes.
come to the campus and you look at what they have done, and you have to just pick it up and move along. It's
That's kind of what I was alluding to. Like when I got to campus, and I'm thinking about it, upperclassmen like instilled it into our head. Like when we go to Penn Relays, we're going to face Villanova. Before I knew anybody on Villanova's team, put their hand. All I knew was Villanova, and Coach Gags was there forever. So, and at that time, the assistant AD, athletic director, both of them were former track coaches there. So Villanova was this rivalry, history and tradition.
Yeah.
We could have had an absolute down year, nowhere near the same competition, but that's who we're going to go after. And I'm sure it was vice versa for them.
Oh, yeah.
That was something I think, not even knowing what the teams were or anyone on the team, upperclassmen sort of instilled that.
That's
Like,
right.
Georgetown, you don't lose to Villanova like you.
You got that. You got that from training immediately.
Oh, yeah.
I had my friend go to Villanova to have lunch, and she said she walked in the hallway, looked at the awards display, and we run together. We went to high school together. She went to Villanova, ran for 2 years, and then quit on the track team and played hockey. And she said, I forget the stuff that you did when you were at Villanova. Like, we just run 3 days a week together on the trails, but we don't talk about it. And I don't think about myself that way because what I remember is training with Kathy Franny in workouts. I remember getting my ass kicked by Michelle Bennett in speed workouts. I remember running behind Debbie Grant and thinking, this is the best place to be because her stride is so smooth. I feel like I'm not even working because I'm behind Debbie. Veronica McIntosh. Like, I never felt that I was anything above anybody else on the team because the people before me got me there. The people around me got me there. And hopefully the people behind me would look to us, all of us, as what they wanted to be. So it was never a thing of, look what I did. It was, look what we did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a good
And
point.
and like you said, it's the history. Like,
Yeah, the history of Villanova. Like,
Yeah.
that's one thing that's old.
women's program. I mean,
Yeah.
So
that's exact. Like everything that I know I did, I was looking, okay, what did Debbie do? I wanted to,
Yep.
I wanted to follow Debbie's path,
Yeah.
not the miler path, but I wanted to follow her path up until to the 800. That was my limit.
Which
So
which
what?
leads me to when I was looking at bringing you ladies onto the show, I'm going to tell you right now. I mean, you guys were rock stars. I mean, first of all, I'm actually going to globally apologize to Michelle Bennett. Now, when Michelle came to George Mason, I think somewhat I didn't really know the details, the intricate details of how great Michelle was. Ironically, when I got the ladies on the show and I started to dig deep and look at the stats, Michelle, as a freshman, you were clocking. No, I mean, honestly, and this is the first time I'm doing it. You were a rock star. I know they asked you earlier on, are you a sprinter? You're actually a 400, 800 meter runner. And I'm telling you right now, those times that you were popping as a freshman, even till today, you have people even struggling to run 52. So, I mean, it's not to mention Vicky and Kathy. I mean, you guys literally, I think, was semi-professional athletes at the highest level while at Villanova. Imagine what that training was like. I mean,
Hard.
I mean, Marty seemed to be very good at recruitment because I pulled up the stat page, and when I looked at the ladies, it was just rock stars. Sonia Sullivan. There were so many great athletes there. It's unbelievable.
Yep. Yep.
I tell people that all the
Kathy's trying
time.
to, we have to listen to Kathy. We're trying to get Kathy to.
I know. Usually I'm louder than this, but
I know. Come on, Kat.
this is competitive. Uh, uh, so when Tasha introduced everyone and introduced herself, it just made me realize, like, wow, I wasn't on the team with Tasha either. Obviously, I'm a lot older, but I feel like every Villanova athlete, runner, we all feel like we're part of one team. And I think that's because of not so much the rivalry, but just the high expectation. And that comes with a little bit of rivalry. Like when we won that distance medley back in 1988 and set a world record, I think we won by like 28 seconds. I had to look it up today and I was like, wait, that wasn't even close. And for that record to stand today, because there are an amazing teams out there with very competitive races and technology and training level is just so much higher. But we were able to do that. And why were we able to do that? We weren't chasing a world record. None of us wanted to have the slowest split.
I beg to disagree. It wasn't a split. I was running out of fear. Okay.
We don't want to be the one that didn't do it.
Not fear. I was the freshman and you guys were the juniors and I didn't want to disappoint. So it wasn't.
But we all wanted to run our best breed because we didn't want it. We knew we were going to win, hockey or anything, but we were 28 seconds ahead of the next one. That year, every other year, it was super competitive. I think the next year was only a few seconds, and it's always very competitive. In fact, that's why I decided to go to Villanova because I remember seeing a picture of Lauren Searby out kicking Joetta Clark from Tennessee.
Oh my God,
Villanova, and I'm like, wow. And I'm from Long Island. That's where I grew up, and I said, wow, she improved so much, and how exciting to be a part of that team.
Yeah.
And that was a huge rivalry back then. Joetta was an amazing athlete. The mile really wasn't. She could rock out a mile easily, but her focus was obviously the 800. But just to see that power and just the rivalry and the excitement, it just kind of, it just gets you thinking, like, I want to be part of that Villanova family. And I think that's a big part of like being a Villanova and seeing like Tasha. And there's so many generations of runners. Like we won got to get out of track, but like we won Villanova's first NCAA cross country title. Vicky and I were on the team and Vicky won the title. And that was the first for Villanova. And they're the most winningest team in NCAA history for titles. So that just goes to show you, like, you do it once and people want to be a part of that. And, and Marty somehow was able to kind of keep that going. And then Gina came in after like a lull and won 2 more titles. So I think the record's like 9 titles. But when you look at all the kids, all the athletes on those teams, you feel like you're on the team with them, even if you weren't.
Kathy brought up that the Lauren Searby and Joetta Clark race at Penn Relays. And when you look at that picture and knowing Lauren Searby now, I think of the poise that Lauren kept racing against Joetta Clark. And right, the worst place to get the baton is 5 steps ahead of the person behind you. And Joetta Clark, it's the worst place to get the baton. And yet, there's Lauren Searby. Who knows who she is anymore, right? Everybody knows Joetta Clark. And just the poise that she kept in that race. And I think, again, that's Villanova. Keeping your poise. People might not know who you are. That was me, my first NCAA championship at indoors. They looked at me like, who the hell is this person? And it was keeping your poise and your confidence and knowing, like, I know you don't know who I am. You'll know who I am.
Yes.
In this race.
Yeah.
You're right.
And there's something about the Villanova singlet. At
Yeah.
least I always say it's almost like a superpower. Like that's how I felt. I put that on and like, okay, world, bring it. And that was very special for me. And I think Penn Relays is also just a special place, and magic happens there.
Oh.
Magic happens.
Definitely.
So like talk a little bit more about the relay. Like we want to hear like behind the scenes, like, okay, so what was Marty saying? Like,
Well, he
That's
was
a story.
like, what?
team, like, did you got like, I just like, we want to hear it all. Like, so
Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, I was the freshman. They were all juniors and I was the baby. And I took a spot because I took Michelle DeMuro's spot, remember? Because he wanted to put an entire junior team out there because you guys came in together.
Right.
And I don't know how the conversation happened that Michelle run it, maybe because I was much faster at the quarter than DeMuro was at that point in time. I don't know. Just know that I got the nod to run the quarter leg. And I'm the freshman. And I'm sitting here scared like no other. I mean, it was a terrifying position to be in because, I mean, they were already accomplished at this point, and there I was, a little freshman. Nobody knew what I could do. I mean, I came out of high school running a decent split at 400, but this is the Penn Relays. We were going up against Tennessee and Texas because I remember the quarter leg on there, she split pretty damn fast running after me. Excuse my language. And I just remember, just Marty sitting we were in the media room, and Marty, he speaking to the, media, the journalist, and he said, "Oh, we're going to break the world record." And I was like, I literally looked over at Celeste and I was like, did he say what I think he just said? That's what I said because I was so terrified. And I'm sitting here like, oh my gosh.
It's confident.
I knew what we had I knew Vicky, I knew, Kathy, and I knew, Celeste, but I was the wild card. And I'm sitting here like, what does that mean for me? And, I mean, Marty, I know he had he was working out the splits because it was Kathy on leadoff leg. And he was like, okay, she needs to run this split. And, like I said, I was wild card. Nobody knew what to expect out of me. Celeste had to run this particular split. Vicky ran a split all by herself, that was world record pace that just didn't make any sense to anybody. But I just remember, Kathy bringing in the baton, and I'm standing there, and I take her out, and I'm literally running for my life. I just ran.
Michelle, but
like
Michelle,
Michelle,
what does that tell you about Marty?
He put the fear of God in me that, well, no.
Into a freshman. He decided to go with a freshman. What does that tell you about Marty Stearns?
He doesn't make rash decisions. I'll tell you that.
I think he was watching me the entire season. Like, he had me all over the place as a freshman. He had me run 1,000 indoors, and that was the most painful look world. And he was like, we're never doing that again. And then he finally put me in a 500, and he was like, okay, maybe this is how we need to really train this child. Yeah. So he figured that out after a while. He literally threw me, and he knew. I know he knew more than I knew. He had more faith in me than I had in myself. I can honestly tell you. But I honestly can say that, and that girl, she ran me down. But like you said, Tasha, that Villanova jersey, superpowers. My mother was screaming. I mean, like, I was running and I heard my mother in the stands that, Michelle, she's coming. I would not let that girl pass me. I was not giving Celeste the baton.
28 seconds. know where she was. She was like 100 yards behind you. What are you talking about?
I know.
You were so
But she pulled up on me. She pulled up, but I was like, Kathy gave me the baton in the lead. Villanova is passing this baton off in the lead.
So
That was
Kathy,
it.
when you line up Kathy, the leadoff, right?
Yeah.
So knowing your coach said you're going to break a world record. So when you're in the paddocks, in that paddock, where they heard, and before you go out, I mean, your frame of thinking, frame of mind, I mean, how confident were you? Like, oh, we're going to win this, but now, oh, we can't just win this. We're going to break a world record.
So I guess it's funny to hear everyone else's point of view. I know Marty did talk about the world record a lot, but he talked about it so much that it was like I was kind of numb to it. It wasn't a big deal. I know that sounds kind of weird, but it just didn't seem like a big deal to break
Yeah.
world. And plus, it was our world record, another Villanova world record. So if we didn't get it, at least it was still, in the family. But so I think I maybe like a coping mechanism. Like I didn't hear that kind of stuff. I didn't know we were supposed to have splits. I went on, I wrote a short piece for this company, Tracksmith. It was limited to a certain number of words. So I kind of just said, it was just Marty letting everyone, he picked his team, not just by the pace that people could run, but by their personalities. So he often said, "Oh, I'm from New York, so I'm going to put you on the lead leg because you know how you ride the subways and
Toughness.
his elbows
Yeah.
still on the subway." I'm like, Marty, I've never been on the subway.
Chaos. Toughness.
That is
Yeah.
so classic.
But
Yeah.
it's just that he had this sixth sense, like, okay, I know she's not going to let us down on leadoff. I know Vicky's not going to dog it on the, and I know Michelle, she's only a freshman, but I could see it in her eye, like that's what he knew. And so we knew that gave his confidence, gave us confidence.
Yes.
And then, just about the nerves and leading up to it, I think at that point where he knew how to pick us, he knew how to pick them. He's not a recruiter. He doesn't recruit athletes that are not afraid to be on the starting line.
Right.
I mean, at any level. I don't ever petrified of
Follow up to that. So was there any doubt in any of your minds about winning the race? I mean, was that for you guys like a foregone conclusion?
I probably not, but I will say I never go into a race saying like, oh, we got this one. But after Kathy's leg, I was like, okay, we got this one. Now, after that, we just have to see what our time is. And then I don't actually remember. I think maybe going around the turn after the first lap, Marty probably said something like, we can do it or something like that. And we trained very rhythm wise. So even though we won by 28 seconds or whatever, that didn't matter. My pace was going to be my pace and I was just going to run fast and hard. And it just happened to be 4:29.9 or something like that. But it was just once I knew we were close, and that was watching Kathy run her race, which was amazing.
It was.
Michelle ran her ass off. Celeste put through, her 800 was, she was like Whitney Houston every time she ran. She was just beautiful to watch run. And then it was just a matter of getting the time and doing my job after every single person did their job. It was my job to do it 100% as well. And that's how we got the world record. Everybody that day gave 110% of their job. Again, once I saw Kathy's leg and now that I coach and I love the DMR, every time I watch one of my teams run a DMR, I'm like, damn, Kathy Brady, you would have won. Like you set the tone.
You blow it out.
That 1200 sets the tone. And it's a hard race to run. It's between an 8, it's a mile. How do you run it? What do you do?
It's tough.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. So that's Kathy set the tone.
Yeah, the distance volley is great. And when we set that record, I think we were kind of like, again, like, oh, wow, it's a world record. Yay. Like, after the meet, you have some coverage in the Philadelphia Enquirer and, some of the local coverage, but then it's all over. Nobody really made a big deal about it. We set a world record in the 4x8. We set a world record in the 4x15. It was not a big deal. It was kind of like, oh, is this record's kind of legit. It was held for like 27 years. But then after about 25 years, you're like, wait a minute, that's still on the books.
Yeah.
And then then the pros start taking it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so, I mean, to me, it's kind of a legit collegiate record, right?
I was
It's not
absolutely
kind of, it
Yeah.
is.
Thank you.
Exceptional women. That's a great record for women who were under 21 years of age.
Oh my God. Michelle and I watched that BYU team this past 10 relays, Michelle.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
But here's the thing. You really do. You look at the legs, and Marty was able to put together a team of women, young ladies. I can't even call it
Right.
real women. We were
Yeah.
young ladies at that point in time
Right.
from 4 different corners of the, we're all from, northeastern locale. But he was able to pull that together in one magical moment.
Yeah.
And if you remember, the Philadelphia Enquirer, he said it's almost, I will never forget his words, because remember, it was cold and rainy that day.
Yeah.
It was
I
cold
just
and rainy
came out for the DMR.
while we were in the paddocks and everything. And just before we stepped out there, it's like the skies parted, the rain stopped, and came down.
Linking out.
His words were, it was almost like from Marty's lips to God's ears. So it was that almost near perfect condition.
Bring it
Never
on.
forget that quote. He said that. I can't remember the journalist's name, but he followed, Villanova for so many years.
Frank
I
Dolden.
remember-
Frank Dolden.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. And I just remember that quote, because it was so poetic.
Yeah.
I thought it was so poetic. And really and truly, everything just aligned perfectly
Yeah.
for that race.
You mentioned the paddock.
Oh, the Paddock. Oh,
At the Penn relays. There's so many history in that paddock. But one thing I need to mention, though, Michelle, you do have some advantage being at the Penn relays. To the left, so when you enter the paddock, to the left, it's the Jamaican stand. And I don't know about you, Michelle, but one of the things, and I'll say this to all our listeners around the world, the United States, Jamaica, Africa, the Middle East, New Zealand, and Australia. I did have an advantage being Jamaican, attending George Mason, only to find out that you got thousands of supporters to the left of you. Michelle, imagine you get that baton and you're representing Villanova. You're American, but you're also Jamaican, and the flag is swaying. How
But
can
they
they
just love a
stop
great
you?
race too. They just want to see a great race, right?
Yeah.
Nonetheless, and they're flying their flags for a great run. Okay, let's be honest about that one. But yes, there is that added advantage of having that Jamaican heritage in me as well. Born in Jamaica and so forth. So yes,
Yeah.
Yeah. From being from the Northeast too, you had Dickie and I ran senior year of high school against each other in the girls 1500. So you have that, if the Penn relays is, and it's always exciting, and you feel like you're at home.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the College Rivals podcast with Simon Bowen and his team of rivals. Please visit thecollegerivals.com for more information, and be sure to like and follow College Rivals Track and Field on Facebook. If you have any comments or would like to suggest topics for upcoming episodes, please email us at hello@thecollegerivals.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you soon.